Alright there guys, and welcome back to another video. Today, it is time for Let's Talk About Pokemon, the first movie, released in 2000. I think this is the first time I've ever covered a movie on the channel, released in the year 2000. And this is only the third ever Pokemon video I've made. The other two were, I covered Pokemon, the Detective Pikachu movie from 2019, which, fun fact, that was the first ever movie video that I posted on the channel that had the Let's Talk About in the phrase in the title of the video, just like this one does. That was the very first video I decided to, I used that phrase in. And the other Pokemon video I've made is on the Pokemon Concierge stop motion series that I made a video on at the beginning of 2024. So why have I decided to now cover this movie? Well, one, this movie actually came out on New Year's Day 2000. This movie literally brought in the new millennium, and earlier this month it became completely free and available on the official Pokemon TV YouTube channel. It's just there, you can just watch it. And it's only an hour and 15 minutes, so it's not even that long. Well, an hour and 10 minutes if you don't count the credits. So yeah, let's now get into it. So the movie actually begins the exact same way that Detective Pikachu begins, with Mewtwo breaking out of a research facility after asking all the scientists there, who is he, what is he, and why is he there? I mean, I remember hearing about the detective before I watched Detective Pikachu, that it begins the exact same way as the very first Pokemon movie. And now that I've seen both, yes, both movies begin with Mewtwo breaking out of a research facility. And the guy, after he destroys it, this guy comes in a helicopter telling him that he'll be Mewtwo's partner. But all he really wants is to see how many Pokemon Mewtwo can take down. Which is a lot. He just keeps taking down more and more Pokemon over and over. None of them can even lay a finger on him. So he realizes that he is the strongest being in the world, so he can just literally become a Pokemon master himself. Which is what he ends up doing. He becomes the first ever Pokemon to become a Pokemon master. Meanwhile, back with our usual cast, Ash and Misty are waiting for Brock to finish up cooking some food. And then this guy just shows up and says, "I'm looking for Ash Ketchum. You know him?" And Ash says, "Yeah, that's me." No hesitation, the guy challenges Ash to a match. And Ash absolutely smokes the guy. Bulbasaur and Squirtle smoke the first two Pokemon. And then the guy sends out 3 Pokemon at once. And I think one of them is Beautifly, but I'm not entirely sure because I don't know that much about Pokemon. So anytime I see a Pokemon that I actually recognize, I like to say that Pokemon's name. And Pikachu literally takes all 3 of these Pokemon out in one hit using a Thunderbolt. He takes all 3 of them out in one go. Then Dragonite shows up and gives Ash a invitation to a Pokemon to a Pokemon challenge at a place called New Island. Mewtwo being the one who sent the invite, but making Dragonite be the one that physically goes and sends it. And it has this little hologram, this little card that plays a hologram of a woman explaining what the challenge is. And our favourite dastardly trio, Jesse, James and Meowth of Team Rocket, are of course watching, and they stop Dragonite right in his tracks and say, what did you just give those little twerps? And then they find the invitation and set off for New Island themselves. But a huge storm covers the entire region. So Officer Jenny and this Russian police officer basically say that nobody's allowed to go across the water to the island. Of course, other people decide to use their own Pokemon as means to get there. One guy gets a ride on the back of his Gyarados, and another one goes above the water to the island, holding on to his Pidgeotto. Meanwhile, Ash, Misty and Brock don't quite get as comfortable of a ride as either of those as that. Instead, they hitch a ride on a boat. Well, first they all get knocked straight into the water and have to use some of their own Pokemon to swim back out. Then they hitch a ride on a boat being rowed by German Vikings until you realise, oh, no, it's just Jesse and James of Team Rocket, isn't it? And then it cuts to a much wider shot of the whole boat, and Meowth is literally on the front of the boat. Yes, it's Team Rocket. So they finally all arrive at New Island, and the woman that sent the invitation out in the hologram is there waiting for them. But she seems familiar to our characters. Ash, Brock and Misty all feel like they recognise her from somewhere. And just coincidentally, Nurse Joy had been missing for a while. And this woman happens to look very similar to Nurse Joy. And then later on, yes, it gets revealed that it indeed was Nurse Joy. She had been under Mewtwo's psychic spell and under his spell with his psychic powers. That's why she was acting the way she was, and then until she finally came out of it. So Mewtwo on this island, he's basically creating clones of other Pokemon to fight for him. And he's already got a few clones, but he then clones basically like all of the Pokemon, every single Pokemon that all of the trainers brought get cloned themselves. So, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Pikachu, Gyarados, Venusaur, Charizard, Blastoise. All of these Pokemon get cloned, and then they all start fighting each other. Each actual real Pokemon starts fighting the cloned version of itself. All of them. So Ash is trying to find a way to stop all of this and stop Mewtwo, but throughout the whole movie, the original Mew has been floating around at different points, and the original Mew starts fighting Mewtwo, since Mew is the only Pokemon that is strong enough to take on Mewtwo, because Mewtwo was created through some of Mew's DNA. So those two start fighting, whilst all the real and cloned Pokemon start fighting each other as well. So Ash goes around searching for a way to stop this. And Mewtwo starts to have throwing all of these black Pokeballs that basically capture all the real Pokemon, which is how the clones were created. Ash thinks, hang on, if I just put the Pokemon in my Pokeballs, they won't get captured. So he uses his own Pokeballs to take Squirtle and Bulbasaur back. Unfortunately, Charizard has already been captured. But these black Pokeballs literally absorb the actual Pokeballs into them, which was a bit odd. So while Ash gets towards near the top of the tower on the island, and he looks down at all the Pokemon fighting each other. It's like, what am I supposed to do? And Team Rocket actually discover all of the cloned Pokemon before they come out. And Meowth himself even gets cloned because a tiny piece of his hair on his tail gets taken by the machine that starts the cloning process. And that was enough. That was literally just all that was needed to create a clone of Meowth. The only thing that would have made this funny is if the cloned version of Meowth could also speak, just like the regular version of Meowth can. But no, this version of Meowth could not speak. It just makes cat noises. And Meowth was prepared to throw, I would say throw hands, but throw claws more like, with the cloned version of himself. Pikachu eventually does get captured, just barely enough to get cloned. And the cloned version of Pikachu just keeps slapping the real version, but the real version doesn't fight back. Pikachu's the only one who doesn't fight back. And Ash is trying to make all of the other real Pokemon realize they need to do the same. They need to not fight back against the clone versions of themselves. But the only way Ash manages to stop all of this is Mew and Mewtwo go for a huge attack on each other, and Ash jumps in the middle of it, which turns him to stone. And you remember the very well known image and gif of Pikachu crying? This movie is where that scene is from, because that's literally where it happens. All of the Pokemon, real and cloned, start crying when they see Ash turn to stone. And all the tears from the Pokemon start being absorbed by Ash's stoned body now. And of course it's a Pokemon movie, so of course he's not going to die, but they decide to absorb all of the tears, and then Pikachu starts crying, and his tears are the ones that turn Ash's body back to normal. And after that, Mewtwo realizes the error of his ways. He realizes that this is not what he should be doing. He should not be just controlling other Pokemon for his own selfish needs. He needs to, because he doesn't really care about the Pokemon that he has himself, all of the clones he created. But after seeing what Ash did to stop the fighting, he realizes the error of his ways and decides that he needs to leave the island and learn to live with Pokemon the way Ash and his friends do. And then after that, Mewtwo and Mew fly off with all the cloned Pokemon off into the distance, and basically everyone's memories of what just happened since they entered the island are erased. Like, nobody remembers anything that just happened on the island. Nurse Joy is back at the Pokemon Center. Brock, of course, over the course of the movie, gets a couple of the old comments about Nurse Joy and Officer Jenny, as he does, because it's Brock. It wouldn't be Brock if he wasn't doing that, would it? I was thinking maybe this movie had one of Brock's iconic lines, "I'll use this frying pan as a drying pan," because he literally had a frying pan earlier on in the movie, and it started raining. So I thought maybe this movie is where that scene is from, but no, it's not. It is not. And Team Rocket end up on a completely different island. And instead of blasting off again, which I thought they were definitely going to do at some point in this movie because it's Team Rocket, but they don't. They say this is Team Rocket signing off again, and that's how the movie ends. Then the credits start rolling, which shows Ash, Brock, and Misty going over all sorts of different places. But yeah, the very first Pokemon movie released 25 and a half years ago now, it was pretty good. It was also not a super long movie. It was only an hour and 15 slash an hour and 10 if you take the credits out. I thought it was pretty good. There wasn't like a super huge amount of action throughout the movie. It was all more towards the end. But for the very first Pokemon movie, I thought it was fairly good. And if you guys want to check the Pokemon movie out for yourselves, I'll leave a link in the description to the video on the official Pokemon TV YouTube channel for Pokemon the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back. If you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and until we meet again, see you in the next one.